Black Swan. The 12 Lessons of Abandonment Recovery by Susan Anderson. Lesson 10. One day, the little girl sees a fragile and intricately colored moth flickering across the meadow. She loves the way it appears and disappears. She chases it from here to there and back again, careful not to scare her delicate friend. Suddenly, it reposes momentarily right before her. She is filled with admiration for its beauty and its pulse of life. When it finally flies off, the little girl returns to the old stone house, feeling the strength of her own heart beating. That evening, she decides to venture forth on her first outing with the other children. She will tag along quietly, attempting not to attract attention, but feeling strong enough to mingle within the group. The group, led by teachers, walks down to the docks to experience a brisk autumn evening. Suddenly, one of the children shouts, "Look! There's a black swan!" Sure enough, the little girl's beautiful black swan can be seen in the distance, with two white swans gracefully turning this way and that in the water near the docks. Her stomach tightens into a knot as the children begin pointing and gesturing toward the spectacular sight. She can't believe that other children, can see her special friend. "Look, look!" They all begin shouting in excitement. Jonathan is the first to run over to the swan. The teachers guide the rest of the children toward the docks to get a closer look. The little girl is pulled along, but she is very afraid, silent among her companions. The knot in her stomach tightens. A large boat suddenly arrives at the other side of the dock. The captain calls to his son, "Look, there's the black swan." The boy throws Brett into the water. He is trying to attract the magnificent black swan and his companions, but it is only the white swans who rush to dip low into the water and swim under the dock. They come up on the other side and take up the bread in their beaks. The black swan remains behind. The little girl doesn't take her eyes off her beautiful swan. She notices he is quivering. He has made several attempts to dip his head under the dock, but can't get low enough to swim underneath and get to the other side. Each time he is unsuccessful. He comes up quivering and moving his head about. Then he tries again, but seems unable to brave the murky waters beneath the low beams of the dock. "The black one is afraid," shouts Jonathan. "He's afraid," the other children join in calling out. "The black swan is afraid." The two white swans are swooping up to the bread with their beaks, but soon turn around to look for the black swan. They see him off on the other side of the dock, struggling. They quickly swim back on the other side of the dock toward him. They get on either side and show him how to dip lower into the water. It takes many efforts, but eventually they help him swim underneath the docks and make it to the other side. The black swan quickly swims to the bread, takes him up his beak, and lifts his long, beautiful neck to swallow. Afterward, he glides away from the man and the boat and the other swans, avoiding the dock altogether, streaming past his companions and all the way out to the deepest waters. The little girl is angry and also worried. She's confused about the black swan. The next day, the woman is supposed to take the little girl to the water's edge. She waits anxiously for the promised time, anxious to ask the black swan about the disturbing scene at the docks. Maybe the black swan isn't anybody after all, worries the little girl. Maybe she is no one and no one is anyone, she wonders. The confusion is swirling in her head and the waiting, as usual, is unbearable. Finally, amidst thoughts and worries bobbing about in her head, she feels the woman's warm hand and soft voice. "Come, precious one," says the woman. The little girl is still nervous as she watches the black swan materialize out of the mists over the water and glide gracefully into view. "How are you, Amanda?" he asks, as always. She lifts her face to the breeze and feels the skirts of the woman softly fluttering at her knees. "I saw you at the water," challenges the little girl. "You were afraid. Afraid to go into the docks. The other swans had to help you." "That is so," says the swan. "But you are the black swan, and you are strong and brave." "I don't have any special strength and bravery," says the swan. "No more than I need. No more than you have, Amanda." "But you must be stronger and braver than I am," cries the little girl. Why must that be so? Asked the swan. Because you are supposed to know what to do and how to be. I am practicing how to use the moment just as you are, explains the black swan. But I'm not good at it, says the little girl, shaking her head back and forth, very upset. And I need you to be strong so you can help me. It's not about special strength, Amanda. It's about remembering to stay in the moment. We lose the moment because we get distracted by grief of what's passed on or fear of what's coming. The past and future both have a powerful pull. They keep pulling us out of the present, but when we catch that happening, we can just take hold and return to the moment so that we can practice what we know. But I can't do that by myself. And who are you to give advice? Chastises the little girl. You couldn't even swim under the docks by yourself. You were afraid. The beautiful swan lifts his wings in the water and smiles upon the little girl. My moment slips away from me just like yours does. That's why I must practice it over and over. You saw me after I took the bread. I swam all the way out to the deepest waters, reminds the swan. I went there to regain the moment, find my center, celebrate my existence. But I still have too many bad feelings to do that, insists the little girl. Life has a way of bringing difficult feelings, Amanda. They are part of its currents. But you know how to use your tools to find the moment and start fresh each time. I keep forgetting to. We all keep forgetting to. But we have our feelings to remind us. When you have a bad feeling, Amanda, just go back to the moment and practice what you know. But I don't know anything, challenges the little girl. Of course you do, Amanda. You're learning so many things. How to find your center and keep it safe. How to find the moment and accept your separateness. How to face your reality and discover the importance of being alive. And how to treat others with love. The swan swirls in the water. The little girl feels a strong breeze. She wraps her arms around herself. Yes, Amanda, gather your arms around yourself to gather together all that you know. Then the moment will be yours. You own it. Only you can command it. The swan swoops his head into the water and begins his turn, gliding gracefully to the distant horizon.